Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Somos Moss, the official podcast of Somos Moss and M, and your source for the latest news and notes on New Mexico United and the New Mexico Runners. Joining me this evening, we have special guests. We have Harry Austin at Ram and Call. Most of you should know Harry already. Harry, big SAFC supporter and media member. And also joining us this evening, we have Christina. Christina, thank you so much for being here as well. Harry, I know that you don't have a whole lot of time, and obviously we will try to set aside some time this offseason to talk to you about San Antonio and the season there. But a couple things that
did we have a season?
More of a season than El Paso.
Yeah.
Is that saying anything?
You almost made it to playoffs.
Yeah.
By the skin of your teeth.
Yeah, you guys were this close. You guys nearly squeaked in there. It would have been nice to see San Antonio in the playoffs this year. But there are a couple things I did want to talk to you about. One you brought to our attention earlier. First of all, Jordan Farr. We kind of talked about in our group chat, which you're a part of. Jordan Farr making the move to MLS, DC United. Jordan Farr, obviously a former San Antonio keeper. What are your thoughts on this move for him?
Good for him. I wonder if it was 2 years too late because he had the 2022 run where he was one of the best goalkeeper. Well, he was the best goalkeeper in USL. And, next year we brought in Marsman, or San Antonio FC brought in Marsman. He got shipped to Tampa. He had a good year. I wouldn't say he had a great year, but it's good for him. Hold on, my son's hopping in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's going to be like their third string keeper, right? At least that was my understanding.
Maybe. I mean, it may be something similar to what we saw Alex do a couple years ago, making the jump. Or not Alex, Cody.
Cody, right.
Yeah, Cody making the jump a couple years ago. Didn't really do much, played Open Cup for them.
Right.
So, I mean, maybe Farr gets some time there, but
I think he'll be a backup.
You think
they
so?
released all 4 goalkeepers that they had signed. So he's their first goalkeeper that they're bringing in. Now, I don't think he's going to be the starter, but I do think that he'll be given every opportunity to be the backup.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see up there because we're familiar with DC United, Troy and Zach, and they're
he'll be coached by Cody.
Yeah, he will. He will be. Cody's there as well. So, yeah, obviously some ties there between both of our clubs. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, obviously, I would assume that Cody and Jordan know each other already, having not only played against each other, but been around the USL for as long as both of them were. So, hi Jane, hi Justin, how are you guys doing?
Yeah, hi Jane and Justin.
Yeah, there we go. The other thing I wanted to bring up, and Harry, like I said, you brought this to our attention earlier. Breaking news from Tom Bogert. In case you didn't see this, Memphis 901 have transferred their championship franchise rights to Santa Barbara. Memphis will not play in 2025, which opens the door for Santa Barbara to join championship in 2026. This has already been approved by the league. And one of the appears to be the biggest issue here is that Memphis was not able to obtain a viable stadium solution. Harry, let's start with you. Memphis obviously hit a decent year this year, had some results against some playoff caliber teams. You got guys like Tim Howard who involved with Memphis 901 for a number of years. We had heard rumors that there were going to be at least a couple teams shuttering their doors at the end of the year. Was Memphis on your radar at all, or did this come out of left field?
I think, it came out of left field, but we had heard rumors that there was a mystery team, and a lot of people had assumed it was San Antonio. I think everybody thought it was going to be the Miami FC, but I don't know if it's been public yet, but they're working on some stuff behind the scenes that will hopefully keep them around. If not, they might not be around for long. I do think that they play next year, but they're the ones that I think that everybody kind of thought. Tulsa's always been one that's kind of interesting. And then El Paso's also, and I know, talking to Phil and Mika at the Sirius Loco, they don't think the stadium's an issue, but for us old enough that have been around USL, they do want to get out of baseball stadiums.
Mhm.
And as of yet, unlike New Mexico United, El Paso still hasn't, at least, came out with any plans for a stadium recently. I know, 4 or 5 years ago they had some plans, and then it's been quiet. But to me, it's sad for Memphis. You kind of maybe knew something was up when Tim Howard stepped down earlier this year, but they, they put together a quality team this year. They were top 4, top 5, and top 4 because they hosted the first round of the playoffs. So it's got to be disappointing. It sucks being in the. It just sucks being in USL Championship because if the stadium doesn't come for New Mexico, is there you have to kind of question how much longer New Mexico would hang around just with the fees and cost and that comes with playing in a baseball stadium.
Yeah, all very valid points. And to your point about El Paso and their stadium, I think it was their inaugural season, maybe at the end of it, that we saw something about a stadium for them. But with the push that the league is making to get everyone into soccer-specific stadiums, anyone who's stuck in a baseball stadium or can't find a potential solution, is going to be looking at potential chopping blocks. So that being said, Memphis, after a great season, you hate to see them close the doors and now bring in Santa Barbara. Santa Barbara, it wasn't even on. I don't think that was on anybody's radar because I don't remember seeing them mentioned at all anywhere. I mean, I could be wrong, but
not for USL Championship. They were supposed to start USL League One next year, but listening to or following some of the League One folks through there, they had gone radio silent, so there was some concerns on what was happening with Santa Barbara. It turns out that they're getting a U.S. promotion, I guess you could say, for it without playing a league game. It'll be interesting if they played this year, because to me, I think it would be smart for them to play in League One, kind of get the kinks worked out, get in a semblance of a roster, and then next year make the jump. But odds are they'll probably start in 2026 in USL Championship.
Yeah, I can't say I disagree there because I think from a management standpoint, the club isn't going to want to pay not only the franchise fees for USL League One for a single season, and then also pay the franchise fees for championship. Now, there's no information here as to what it's going to cost them to do this. We kind of have an idea of what a franchise fee is for a USL Championship team, but I agree. I agree. I think it'll be good for them because you see so many teams come in. Even United came in and had issues their first season. With the stadium and ticketing and all those kinds of things, figuring out match day stuff. So maybe it's a good idea to have them start there and then move their way up in 2026. Christina, do you think that this kind of speaks to Memphis's issue with getting a stadium? Do you think it kind of speaks to an issue with the management of some of these clubs? Because you see Memphis not getting a stadium. You see El Paso having not saying a word in 4 or 5 years about a stadium. But you have other areas who have committed to building stadiums. You have United, who is mired in legal issues, trying to get our stadium. Is this a management issue? Is it them being unable to secure funding? Is it them not being able to pony up enough money privately? Or is there something else that's preventing these teams from doing what they want to do?
Well, I think stadium is a huge barrier, and depending on where you are, whether or not, city subsidies or getting any help, outside help, or if it has to be completely private. Look at Sacramento with their owner, even having their own sort of pet project elsewhere. Fickle ownership, fickle management makes it a little bit tricky to to really get those roots well established, and the nature of just USL as a whole, trying to find sustainability. It's a challenge.
Do either of you think that the issues we see here with rights being transferred, teams not being able to secure stadiums, things like that, does it give you pause and think about the potential future of the league in terms of sustainability?
Oh, it has to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even in San Antonio, there are concerns, and you have to kind of look at it from a business aspect. From my understanding, winning the league doesn't earn you any more money than finishing in last place.
Mm-mm.
Now, I know with the new TV revenue that might have changed slightly, but it's lower league soccer in the United States is a loss. Outside of very few clubs, that New Mexico might be one, just because they draw 10, 11,000. But the rising costs of payroll, the player salaries, the rising costs of security, the rising costs of everything. Yes, the season ticket members, at least here in San Antonio, and I think most around the league, are paying higher prices for the last couple of years. But at some point, U.S. soccer has to figure out a better mousetrap. Because you've been around here long enough, Seth. The only reason why Reno isn't here isn't because of ownership, isn't because of through there, because they had the Pacers as the owners. They just didn't want to sink in the money to Reno.
Yeah, very true. Reno had been highly successful in their run, and it was incredibly disappointing to see them fold their doors. And just kind of, you worry. We've supposedly OKC Energy are coming back. There are other teams. Inter Miami or not Inter Miami, the Miami FC got some new investment. You look at Las Vegas, who are now in the Western Conference semifinals, new investors. Sacramento Republic, we talked about. They've announced a new stadium. They've also announced this week a new majority owner from the Wilton Rancheria Tribal Nation. So maybe the simple solution is just more money. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Because, honestly, if you asked most of us at the end of last year, we all would have said that Las Vegas probably wouldn't be around for much longer. Mm-hmm. But, I was talking to one of their local media guys in the press box over the weekend, and he said it's a night and day from what it was last year. So maybe what this league needs, maybe what these teams need are fresh ideas, fresh money, and the ability to find a way to deal with these issues. I don't know.
It high highs, low lows. Even when it comes to attendance, some clubs have beautiful attendance. Other clubs have some really scary, sad numbers. But I think, Seth, you're right. It all comes down to money and having ownership that is fully bought in, who have deep pockets, who are willing to spend the money, not only on facilities, but also on players, admin, staff, being able to just support and keep those staff on board. If we're fortunate in that we have ownership who think outside the box. I love the Somos Unidos Foundation, doing amazing things for the community too, branching out, connecting art and sport. So trying to diversify as much as possible in our modest little state. But it requires that kind of level of passion, I think, across the board to keep all the other clubs afloat as well.
You talk about some of the attendance numbers. I'm looking. I'm hoping this number is accurate. It's on Transfer Market. Sac Republic led the league this year, 10.1. followed by Indy 11, Lou City, and then us at 9.3. I mean, and even with us, like we have some low numbers, at times. And we've talked about it, different times of the year, different things going on, all that kind of stuff. But then you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you've got Miami, who is probably, and this is probably a very friendly number, averaging just over 1,000 fans in the stands every week.
They weren't drawing 1,000 fans. They were at most 500, I think, for most games.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
And how many were traveling, from other squads, other teams, fans?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, even Las Vegas, according to this, drew 1.9. North Carolina drew 2. And I mean, Memphis's numbers aren't promising according to this. They average just over 3. So I don't know. I mean, there is concern for the longevity of the league for as long as it's been around in all its different iterations. If you go back and look through the history of the USL, it's been around for a long time in some form. Merging with other leagues, absorbing others, creating, a new identity, several years ago. But yeah, it's, you have to wonder about the long-term prospects of the league. Maybe if the league can figure out a switch in schedule, maybe if they can figure out pro rel, maybe if I don't know. I don't know what's going to take, but I'd like to see the league one day compete with MLS.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, even if you look at Indy, where you said they were 3rd in highest attendance, but look at what was going on with their stadium, and I don't know if it was their mayor or who it was, but really, even a club who is performing well, has, quality squad, amazing attendance, it's even for them, it's not guaranteed.
Yep. Thanks, Marlena. Yeah. So it really kind of varies. And Justin's got a point. Battery, for all the good that they did this season, they only averaged, according to this, 3.7, give or take. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the coming years, to see how the league evolves, what type of ownership comes in, what sort of money is thrown at the league, and what sort of future it has. Because again, I would love to see it continue. We're going to try to get Andres Trujillo from the New Mexico Runners here on within the next couple weeks with their season coming back up. By the way, New Mexico Runners news, if you didn't see it already, Coach Steve Familetta has been announced as he is returning for year 6. So Coach Fammy will get him on the show as well. And he's an interesting person to talk to as well, because he has some insight into how all of this works. Because MASL has pro rel. They're coast to coast now. They just announced some new deals over the summer for that league as well. So we can talk to some different folks. We're going to try to get Ron and Tyler and some other folks on the show throughout the postseason, and throughout the off season, we'll talk about different things to kind of get an idea of what we're looking at and what they feel would benefit these leagues as a whole in order to keep promoting them. So, all right. Well, the thing that we don't want to talk about. There's a playoff game on Saturday. Western Conference semifinals. New Mexico United, Las Vegas Lights FC. And at this point, we all know that New Mexico United lost by a final score of 1-0 to a late goal by Corey Bennett. This was a heartbreaker. Like, it really was. Being there, everyone was so positive going into it, talking to everyone in the press box. There were a lot of things to be positive about. There were a lot of things to look at and say, okay, we have a chance to win this and walk forward. And I know there's been some discussion, and we'll go ahead and clear this up right now, about hosting priority as far as the playoffs go. We did get confirmation on Saturday that hosting for every match is based on seeding. Someone over on the subreddit, on the not New Mexico, right, on the USL Pro subreddit, is still putting out bad information. still putting out bad information going based off of last year's playoff scenarios. I corrected them, said no, it's based on we did receive confirmation from the league directly on Saturday that it's based off seeding. And then Nick Murray chimed in and said yes, it is based on seeding, and there are tie breaks in place in case both number 2 seeds advance to the finals. So so that's how it's going to work.
But it would have been nice for the league to announce that ahead of time.
It would have been.
Imagine that.
Yeah. And I know that there was some confusion based off of what's on the website. If you go and look at the standings, if you look at the standings page, there's a whole list of tiebreakers, right? But if you go to the playoff structure, it does say that all subsequent rounds there's no reseeding. It's all hosted by the better seed. But the league never came out. This is kind of what I was talking about a few weeks ago. How the league never published anything. The league never put on a big thing like they have in the past. And so I think there was a lot of misinformation out there. So we made sure on Saturday that, if United, because we all knew prior to kickoff that Lou City had lost.
Mm-hmm.
Lost in amazing fashion, by the way. And we'll talk about that. So we asked him, what is the priority here? I said, I know Nick Murray has said this. I couldn't find where he'd said it. I said, I know it's been said. I know it's based off seeding, but David Carl got in touch with the league directly, and they did confirm, yes, it is based off of seeding. Okay. So we knew that, should things go well, we would be next in line to host, not Battery. It would have come to us as the higher seed. Mm-hmm. So that's what we were facing going into Saturday night. But yeah, and it's part of that whole thing where we talk about, the league and transparency and putting information out. And like, I know Nick Murray is only one guy.
Yeah,
I know.
I was going to say that. We're talking about clubs and, attendance and ownership and all of that. But also, if you look at just the league and their admin, I mean, it's slim pickings, and there's no updates to like their websites going into the playoffs. So even there, that's a pretty big red flag.
Yeah, and I know that they had Kelsey Steele a couple years ago. We talked about Kelsey. We talked about these things, and I know people have put out posts on places asking about working for the league. And Nick Murray has said, "Hey, go to the league website." Now, I've told Nick, I said, Nick, I would love to come work with you. Like I have, the ability to do here. So, but I don't know. I don't know what the league's plans are. I don't know how they miss some of the things that they do, but this is definitely something that should have been out there, right?
Yeah.
They're putting out bad info in the stands.
Yeah, Justin's comment about David should talk to the capos. I mean, I think David was even mid-game trying to figure it out himself.
Yeah.
And he's only one guy too, running up and down from down on the pitch and up into the media box and whatnot. So I don't think even the club was really confident in knowing.
So to that point, yes, that is accurate. There are folks that did not know what the hosting scenarios were. I was talking to folks in the press box prior to the match. I said, "Hey, no, if Lou City loses, we would be number 1. We would be in line to host." So I don't know. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure like why there was why there was different pieces of information going out, and why the league didn't just straight up put out a social media post or something. I don't know. So I'm not even sure if the guys were aware, if Coach Quill and the team was aware prior to kickoff what the final was of that Lou City match, because I mean, and again, we'll talk about that here in a little bit.
But it wouldn't have mattered this early.
No, it really wouldn't have.
We had that discussion about who would host, and that's what kind of prompted our, in our little chat. But for New Mexico United and even Vegas, they still have another match to play. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they weren't looking to, hey, we're going to host.
Yeah.
If it wouldn't have been the right time.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, like, you certainly don't want them going in there with that mindset. That's something I don't know if they knew that. I don't know if they, if they were. Like I said, I don't know if they were aware. If they were, if that affected how they were playing. I don't know. But you watch this match on Saturday night, and I kind of compared it, to the weekend before against Phoenix. United once again sat back and invited the pressure, didn't really give up a whole lot in terms of opportunities for Las Vegas. They had one shot. It wasn't even on frame in the first half.
Mhm.
And we created chance after chance. I think we had 10 shots in the first half on Saturday night, which was night and day from the week before. And when I said we didn't look good against Phoenix in the first half, we didn't create, right? You can sit back, you can invite all the pressure you want. And we dealt with it well against Rising. We didn't really give them a whole lot. But here against Vegas in the first half, we invited the pressure and then we attacked. We didn't just take it and not do anything with it. We had chances. And I think in our group chat, it was the word of the night is wide.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was one of those nights where you can sense Quill's frustration. You can sense the supporters' frustration. And Justin, I agree with you. The supporter section was quiet.
Yeah.
On Saturday, I was surprised at how quiet that stadium was.
Yeah.
And then once Vegas scored, it just
you felt just the energy just sucked out of that stadium. It was just deflated.
But,
we were all
it
deflated.
was how the goal was scored, though.
Mm-hmm.
It was, and like I said here, you have to feel so bad for Zico, but
so bad. Yeah.
It was an error on New Mexico that allowed Vegas to score.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was 86 minute?
It's right here, yeah, 86 minute.
So just it's how they lost. Now, I will tell you, as somebody that watched the game on the TV, the environment looked like fun. Looked like it was fun. I'm not picking up the same vibes that you guys had being there, but as somebody that watched it, on TV, it looked like a normal rowdy New Mexico crowd.
I think it was just in comparison to the Sunday before. I mean, that crowd was electric and so loud, and despite the rain throughout the entire thing, everyone was just like on their feet. Most people weren't sitting. They were loud the entire time versus this week. It just, not as many people were there. It just, yeah. The supporters group, it looked great. It was full. It was sold out, which is great. Just not quite as loud. Yeah.
And I haven't seen the berm like that in a while.
Yeah.
So it was surprising when I heard the number. It was surprising. I thought for sure there were more people than that in the stands, but no, it was very quiet. Given the size of the crowd and what was at stake, and like it just, I don't know, it felt strange. And then, like you said, with that goal, like it just deflated. It was just silent. And you have to feel for Zico. He was played phenomenal at so many opportunities this season. To give up a poor pass in that moment. We weren't set to go back. We had too much space in the middle. Corey Bennett, obviously, the leading scorer for Las Vegas, he's gonna make you pay when you put him in a situation like that. It's tough. It's really tough. And I saw people complaining about the subs and how late they were and all this kind of stuff. And where's Hurst? Where's Ryden? Where's this? Why are the subs late? Well, Greg. So I was told prior to the match that Greg Hurst had picked up a knock in training. I was asked not to run with it. At least not prior to the lineups being announced. So I knew ahead of time that Hurst wasn't available. People ask about Kalen Ryden. Nothing wrong with Kalen. It's just I feel like Tony's the best opportunity, the best person to be in there because especially with the partnership that he and Talon have, I think that's the best chance. So nothing against Kalen. Then coach even spoke to it after the game. He goes, it felt like the match was going to extra time.
Mm-hmm.
It absolutely felt that way. And that's why the subs came so late. So I understand when you're at a point where you're 85 minutes in, you're like, okay, we're heading to extra time. It's more than likely not going to happen. Okay, we're going to need some fresh legs.
And I didn't feel like it was a practice game, like Justin says. And I didn't feel like they weren't playing well. They were creating chances. They were pressing. They were dominating. Alex didn't have a whole lot to do. It was, a ton of time just kind of back there all by his lonesome. I think it's more a symptom of what we've seen over the last 5 years, maybe 4. 2019 might have been an exception, but we just don't have a solid goal scorer, someone who can just get it done with consistency. I mean, I love that it's a collective and that there were so many different players who were scoring. It's awesome to see a squad come together like that and work together, but in these kind of games, it comes down to having somebody who just has that killer instinct and ability to put it on target and put it in the back of the net.
And let's be honest, when it comes to playoffs, it's about defense. Just, I remember, the Chris Wehan hand goal. That game was tight. It was tight. And that just I think it was around that same time. No, it was an extra time, but just when you get that last second goal, and especially at home, it sucks the life out because New Mexico had chances. They had chances. It just wasn't their night to convert. And you've got to have a proven goal scorer. I know Daniel Bruce is a fan favorite. Possibly Hall of Fame guy. When you guys build that there as far as for all time New Mexico players. But if he's starting up top, that's not who I want starting up top. And that's no offense to Daniel Bruce. Just he's not an elite goal scorer, which you need in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and along those lines, you talk about elite goal scorers. I mean, Hurst. I think even Hurst, not prototypical. He does bring some size to the role, which is something that Brucey we can't change. But Brucey really doesn't have the size to play.
He's got the heart, though.
Oh God, he's
but
got
I
the heart.
agree, Harry. I mean, he's like a super sub. Somebody compared him to like a gnat. That when the other squad is fatigued, and then you put Bruce on, and he is running his heart off. Like just going full out. He is such a pest, and that's what he's great at. It's just pestering, and wearing them down.
Yeah, that he does. And it's certainly going to be something that Coach Quill looks at going into the off season. And we'll obviously have all sorts of coverage throughout silly season, as we like to call it. News already coming out. We talked about Jordan Farr. We talked about Memphis. And there's obviously there are going to be changes. Okay. We know this is going to happen. And as we get closer, we'll probably get a player announcement here or two. In the past, the club has historically given us returning player announcements, or at least a first batch of them towards
Christmas presents.
Yeah, something like that. So we'll probably see something here and there. But, on Saturday, the club played well. They really did. It's just you have to convert your chances. That's something that Quill has preached all season long. That's something that we've talked about all season long. And all credit to Arozarena. Stood on his freaking head. 7 saves on the night. Really kept Las Vegas in that match. I think if you convert one of those chances early on, I think the whole atmosphere around the game changes. I think the crowd stays into it longer than they were, or gets into it more than they were. I think the players feel that energy because there was no quit in anybody.
No.
You didn't see it. You didn't see anybody hanging heads. You didn't see anybody do anything. So I don't know. It's just one of those tough nights. Las Vegas had one shot on target the entire night, and they happen to score.
But let's give Vegas credit. This isn't the Vegas of old, where
I don't wanna.
No, but you got to, because they are a quality team. And I know you guys talked about the difference in environments. We know the reason why there's the difference in environments is because Phoenix is a rival that's hated, despised, everybody in the fan base knows that.
Yeah.
Vegas is, hey, it's a nice story. You're here. Congrats getting into the second round. But, hey, it's time for you to go home. I think that's, it's kind of like Rhode Island with Louisville City. We're like, hey, it's a good story. You're on a good run, but you're going against the number one seed. And unfortunately, both number one seeds didn't survive. But that's USL.
I mean, as a neutral, I love it when number one seeds don't survive.
No, yeah, it's great, and I definitely want to touch on the Rhode Island thing. All credit to them. Congratulations to Raising Anchor. I mean, phenomenal. None of us, so I can't say none of us. We did have two of us. I don't remember who.
Yeah, me and Jacob.
You and Jacob picked Rhode Island. So
yeah,
I mean, I just didn't see Rhode Island going on the road and doing it a second time.
So I don't like Rhode Island because they're a little too much San Diego-ish. There's too much Loyal that got moved over there, and
they are.
I've never liked Loyal. Kind of like how you guys don't like Phoenix. I don't like San Diego and Donovan and all of that mess. So yeah, I hold it against them. I won't lie.
I would be totally on board with Vegas pulling it off because, like, what a Cinderella story. The one exception is the really short guy that dives more than he stays on his feet.
Asante?
Yeah.
Asante was really, really quiet on Saturday.
Yeah,
and when he got subbed out, I made the comment to David in the box. I'm like, I didn't even realize he was playing.
He's old, though. He's so old. He's still quality, but yeah, like his time with Phoenix, it's.
Yep.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it was tough. And one thing in the highlight package, I do want to talk about this because it certainly made the rounds. And yes, Justin, thank you. Thank you for bringing up my Inter Miami. We are the A. Absolutely. My Inter Miami and Messi are out, and MLS and David Beckham are crying. So,
Apple's crying.
Yes.
Don Garber,
yeah.
Dude, that is absolutely true. I did tell David Weesey Carl in the press box on Saturday. I said I am amending my statement on MLS playoffs. I now approve of the three-legged playoff format. But I mean, Atlanta going down and winning in Miami twice.
Like Rhode Island.
All three of Miami's losses this year were to Atlanta. Or not three. Three of their home losses were to Atlanta. It's crazy. Some stupid. Miami was 34 points ahead of Atlanta in the standings. So really great to see that. But I did want to talk about it because it made the rounds on social media. There was a problem in stoppage time on Saturday night.
There was a. We like to say the lab is supposed to be the 12th man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Las Vegas literally had a 12th man on the pitch on Saturday. In case you missed it, Las Vegas made a series of subs right in the 90th minute. 3 players on, supposed to be 3 players off. However, nobody kept track of who actually came off the pitch. So for the first 2 minutes of stoppage time, Las Vegas played with 12 men on the pitch. Natalie Simon, the center referee in this match, who has an international, IFAB referee badge. One of the best referees to come out of the U.S. ever. She missed it. The 4th official missed it. We were counting up in the box because well, something doesn't seem right here. Every coach missed it. So Vegas plays for 2 minutes with an extra person on the pitch. Now, people asking, well, does this, can the club protest it? Can they do this? Can they do that? Well, they can certainly file a complaint, but they're not going to go back and replay 2 minutes, and they're not going to change the outcome of this match. Had the goal occurred when they were 12 men on the pitch, the goal would have been disallowed.
No. If they didn't catch it, there is no guarantee in USL that it would have been disallowed. That
is true, because since there is no VAR. The other question about this situation is, what's the ruling? So if you watch at the 91:52 mark, you can see the center referee sending someone off the pitch. Now, typically what happens as a referee, if a team is playing with 12 players, it's a direct free kick for the opposing team at the spot where the ball was when the offense occurred. Now, the timing of this where they finally figured out, coincided with the fact that we were setting up for a direct free kick after the foul on AO. Which, to me, as a referee, they're taking that opportunity because it's already a direct free kick, and they're not giving United one for the 12th person. Now, how it didn't get caught for 2 minutes, I don't know. How this actually works in the laws of the game? Does United get a second free kick? Can they use that direct free kick from the foul as the one? There's some questions here, because that's a very interesting situation. Now, would it have made a difference if Las Vegas only had 11? I don't know. Possibly.
We'll never know.
At this point, we'll never know. But I mean, Harry, you've watched a lot of soccer. I mean, at any point in at the professional ranks, have you seen this?
I haven't seen it personally, but I think how it can happen, especially at the USL level, because normally they don't allow the other person on until the other person's over there, with the exception if they're going out and around. So I'm wondering if that's where the confusion took place, is that, person X was supposed to have gone out and around and didn't for whatever reason. But I don't know. It's one of those, if you're a New Mexico fan, you're upset, kind of like Utah football fans are upset about the holding. But to me, that's not what lost the game for New Mexico. Just you can play what ifs all day. It sucks, but there's nothing you can do about it. It happened 2 minutes. The referee caught it. You're the ref. You have more of a referee background. If they're already doing an indirect free kick, they're not going to get a second one. So they're not going to do that. So I don't know what you can do outside of they got to play an extra defender up for or an additional attacking person for 2 minutes, but.
Yeah,
I don't know what else you can say, really.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's something that would prompt like a look at the laws of the game, because it's a weird situation. It really is. And I agree. No, it didn't lose New Mexico United the game. It did. We all know it's clear what caused New Mexico United to lose that. But yeah, I've never seen a situation like this before at a professional level. I've certainly seen it,
but even at a club level, you don't see that, because they regulate them. They watch them very closely, and that's because there's 4 referees there, and then you got to figure there's people behind the scenes that handling the paperwork as well. That it got by, and the referee, like I said here, I have all respect for for her. It just we should just be thankful that they didn't score. If Vegas would have scored, then that's a whole different discussion.
Yes, it absolutely would have been. And to your point about them not, whether players go off on the other side, depending on, because by the laws of the game, the player's supposed to go off whatever they're closest to. That's what's supposed to happen. But we all know the players are going to waste time and take the longest time. If you watch the replay, you can see the first 2 subs come out and give the high fives and the hugs and all that kind of stuff. You never see the third person come off. Now, could have been they were somewhere else, whatever. But even then, as the fourth official, you're not letting those substitutions on. By the laws, the substitutions are not supposed to enter the field of play until the player they are substituting on for have come off the pitch. So, big failure by the referees in this match. And again, you can't say the referees cost us the match. Natalie did a fantastic job. Obviously, there were a couple things throughout that probably could have been handled slightly different here and there. I still don't know what the red card was for the assistant coach.
Dissent of some sort,
it was
colorful language.
Straight red.
Yeah, it was a straight red.
Yeah,
and he didn't fight it either.
No,
because he got up and he ran like
literally ran.
I was like, dude, why are you running? Why are you running so fast? But so he knew he said something. And he's like, okay, I gotta.
Yeah, he knew. Yeah. He whatever it was bad enough to warrant a straight red. So I don't know. I didn't see anything from the league. I didn't see anything. Maybe it'll be in like their match notes or something. I don't know. But they typically don't say anything unless the coach is suspended. So maybe it'll be in there. But I don't know.
They're avoiding talking about it.
He'll be suspended.
Yeah,
he'll be suspended, but if he's an assistant coach, does it really, it'll be in the little news and notes for that.
Yeah, I would think it would. I think it would be, but I don't know. I don't know if we've seen any other situation this year where an assistant coach has been suspended or even a coach has been suspended. I have to go and look at it, but
do they give cards? Can they give cards to players after the fact?
Oh yeah.
Like, should that Vegas player who didn't leave the pitch, have some sort of repercussion that's going to affect his play next game?
In terms of talk about the 12th player, no, there's no card for that in that situation.
There should be.
Yeah, the offense is 12 players. It's a direct free kick for the opposing team. There's no card.
Now, and going back and rewatching that, New Mexico subbed 2 players on at that time, and Vegas subbed 3 players on at that time.
That they did.
So for the fourth official, he was busy.
Yeah, that he was. Yeah, no, it's. I don't know. It was just a weird thing. I mean, a weird situation all the way around. But yeah, no, there's no card in that. No card in that situation. Now there can be cards if someone interferes. So for example, if a coach comes onto the pitch, you can get carded for that. If a team official comes onto the pitch, they can get carded for that.
Oh, and the guilty person is Pinzon, so former RGV player. So not shocking. Yeah.
So, but I mean, United's season is done. No matter what happened in stoppage time. And it's tough. It's a tough way to go out. You feel bad for Zico Bailey, who had a phenomenal season all year long. Scored his first career international goal, had a heck of a year for United. It's really, really tough. And, and you could see it on Zico's face. You could see it as he came off the pitch when he was subbed off. You could see it. The rest evening, and to the fans' credit, for those that stayed around, there was a chant going up for Zico after the match. I didn't see him come back out, but he deserves all the credit in the world for his season. You hate to see anyone, give up a moment like that. So, but
I wanted to give him a big hug.
Yeah, I don't blame you one bit. I saw him in the tunnel afterwards as I was coming down to the pitch. I won't disclose interactions or anything, but it's for all the work the guys have put in this year. It's hard. It really is. I know there are questions about Abu Danladi. So Abu Danladi it was not covered under any league rules as far as playoff rosters. So that's why he was eligible. That's why he played. There's nothing because he was a regular season player. I double checked. There's, at least as far as all the information I could find, that's why Abu Danladi was able to play. But yeah, it's a tough way to end the season for everyone involved. Heart goes out to everybody.
Yeah, man, the squad just endured so many injuries. I mean, I saw Jacob and I were up in the club level, talking and just seeing all of the guys coming out of one of the suites in their regular street clothes. So many of them, such good players. I mean, it's just heartbreaking to see so many of our quality players not being able to dress out and get on the pitch.
Yeah, that it is. All right. Well, let's take a look at the rest of the playoff picture. So we talked about Rhode Island defeating Lou City earlier. We were split on that pick last week. Jacob and Christina took Rhode Island. Earl and myself took Lou City. Rhode Island advances, and they will go on the road once again to play Charleston Battery, who defeated Tampa Bay Rowdies by a final of 2-1. In that one there, we all took Battery over Rowdies. So your Eastern Conference final will be Rhode Island and Charleston Battery on November 16th. I think we have a time for that. Let me see here. I meant to have this pulled up already.
I agree, Justin.
5 p.m. Eastern time. Charleston Battery taking on Rhode Island FC. Harry, who you got in this one?
No, it's 6 Eastern. 6 Central. Because it's 7. It's 5 o'clock your time.
Okay.
And then Colorado and Vegas is 7 o'clock your time.
Okay.
You got to go with Charleston. I know it's a good story with Rhode Island, and as I mentioned earlier, I'll probably never pick Rhode Island, but at least for this year. But Charleston, they've got it all, dude. Aaron Malloy coming back from his injury, the banger that he had I think it was the winning goal. Dude, they're deep. It's at home. They know if they win, they get to host the final again, and they get to finish the job that they gave up last year. So
yep.
to me, like San Antonio, they lost in PKs in the Western Conference final in 2021. They were so focused, on getting the job done right in 2022. I think the same thing with Charleston. I wouldn't bet anything against it, but I will say this: Rhode Island is probably the hottest team out of the last 4 going forward, and the mojo that they've got, the traveling support that they've got, it should be a great environment.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Battery's phenomenal. They've worked hard all season long. I mean, honestly, they were one of the best teams in the league early on. And they really put it all together. 13-1-3 at home. That roster is just so good. It really is. It's hard to pick against them, especially when you got the Golden Boot winner. I like Jackson Conway too. I know he hasn't seen anywhere near as much time as I would have liked to have seen, but yeah, I've got Battery.
Yep, the raccoon is going to keep on dancing.
Pedro.
I look forward to seeing that imagery with the cup, the raccoon holding the cup, dancing and partying.
Dude, we have to give Charleston so much credit for that. Just because I'll sit here and watch it like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, my wife even knows it now. She's like, "Oh, you're watching Pedro."
Yeah. All right. And over in the West, obviously, we talked about our match against Las Vegas. The other match on Sunday, after a weather delay, Colorado Springs advanced over Orange County. The only person to pick Colorado last week was me. So Earl, Jacob, and Christina all went with Orange County. I get it. I absolutely get it. But it's Colorado. It's just a very good team. They took that match in extra time. Zandy scored 2 goals for in the 10th minute, and then in the first minute of the first half of extra time stoppage time. That's a mouthful to say. So yeah, and also I guess you call it come from behind win because Ethan Zubak scored in the 4th minute of that one as well. So that gives you a Western Conference final of Las Vegas and Colorado Springs in Colorado in November.
In the snow.
I didn't have that. I won't lie. I didn't have that.
Yeah, that's gonna be a heck of a match. I want to. I'd love to see the weather in Colorado for that. If it's anything like ours, they probably had some snow here recently. But I mean, Switchbacks have always been good at home.
Yeah.
They've always been good against most teams except for us historically. This season they're 10-4-3 at home, and Las Vegas. I just don't know. I mean, Las Vegas has pieces. Obviously, at Rosarena is very, very good. You've got Corey Bennett, you've got Christian Pinzon, guys who know how to find the back of the net. I think of the 2 conference finals, this is the one that I'm paying the most attention to. It just seems to me to be the more interesting of the 2 matchups. I think it'll be the more competitive of the 2 as well. When I look at these 2 teams, it's Colorado just keeps doing Colorado things. They're incredibly good. They've got names top to bottom. Justin Dillon is over there. Obviously, hasn't had too much impact on their season. Ronaldo Damas, has had his issues, but this is a team that I have a lot of faith in. I don't know that Colorado, or I don't know that Las Vegas is going to have enough, particularly on the road once again. So for me, I got to go Colorado on this one.
Yep, I agree. I think we were the better team. Vegas, we should have won it. I don't think they're going to be. I mean, the keeper can stand on his head only so much. I think that Springs is gonna. They're at home. They're gonna win this one.
I don't know. Head to head.
Oh.
Both matches drew. In Vegas 3-3, in Colorado Springs in July 1-1.
Oh, look, the league did actually put out a thing today. What's the hosting priority for the 2024 USL Championship final?
Well, I sent you that. Right? Well, no, I didn't send it to you. I sent the message to the USL show because if I don't know if I put it in the chat. If Vegas hosts.
That's bonkers. At like 7 a.m. or something crazy, right? Or 9 a.m.?
Well, no. If Vegas hosts, guess what else is in town that weekend? F1.
Yeah. Even if F1 wasn't in town, I mean, are they really going to draw a whole lot of people? No. In the morning?
Yeah, they would. Yeah, they would.
You think so? I don't know. And it would be like an early morning for the East Coast. What time would it be? Like 8 a.m.?
But here's the little poison pill in that column. USL has the right to move the final. And I could see them not wanting to go head to head against F1 on that weekend. Just number one, the cost of hotels, is gonna be, everybody's already gonna be there. 2, for visiting fans, let's say if it's Rhode Island who would travel because it's their first year. Just I don't know where you play it, but to me, like I said here, if Vegas is the one that does win it, and that means it would be a Vegas versus Rhode Island match, it would be tough for them to move it. But dude, F1, because that's at midnight, right? I think because they shut down the strip for that.
Yeah. I almost want it to be Vegas versus Rhode Island just to see what happens. What are they gonna do? Where's it gonna be? That's fun. As a neutral, that's fun.
Dude, I thought about it because I was a little like, and let's not forget the USL final. All the teams bring representatives, so it's almost an unofficial league meeting. It's a big spectacle for the league, for the town or the city that hosts it. So it'll, to me, it would be interesting to see if it is Vegas and Rhode Island, who hosts on that. And USL has tried to move finals before. Or let's not forget Sacramento and Swope Park back in the day. They did try to move that final. So that was the interesting caveat to me is what would USL do? Personally, I think it's Charleston. Like I said here, I think Charleston. It would be a good story, an old franchise, one of the originals, to be able to win. But Joey Baptista, dude, just think about that. To go from one of the worst teams to lifting a trophy, how crazy is that?
Yep.
Yeah, indeed. Justin, yes, that race starts at 11 p.m. So yeah,
but the streets are closed down. That's the thing.
Yes.
Is it's right on the strip.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I know that the lights are down at Fremont, closer to that area. But still, to me, it would be a nightmare for a USL championship. I'm not saying that they couldn't pull it off, but
yeah,
just the added cost of having the final on that weekend.
Yeah, I think it would benefit them to move it away, or I don't know. Again, I don't know where you would do it, but yeah, I think it would benefit them to move it. Because that would be an expensive weekend. Oh man!
And the Raiders play the following day against my Broncos.
Ooh.
So you've got F1 and the NFL.
A regional battle with the NFL too.
So, because I was like, well, Vegas would have to be out, right? The Raiders. Nope, They play the next day. So.
Yeah, interesting situation. The league will have to decide what to do there. Obviously, that probably wasn't in their cards, but now they're probably looking at it, going, "Okay, what do we do with this?" So, man, it's hard to imagine that we are now here in the middle of November. The season has been going on since March 9th, essentially. We've been at this for a very long time, and here in a week and a half, give or take, we're going to have a new league champion. I mean, and obviously we'll have a lot of time in the off season to get into, looking back and all that kind of stuff. And where were we right? Where were we wrong? Harry, we've obviously referenced back to our our preseason predictions a handful of times. And obviously we'll dive into that as well. I do want to ask you guys before we do get out of here, as we head into the off season for pretty much every club now, I'll go ahead and ask you, what is something that you want your club to do this off season?
I'm going to do it for a league just because San Antonio's got so much drama that I don't want to really get into on here. But to me, from a league side, and I think New Mexico does this really well, they're very few, you're starting to see pockets of where the supporters and the clubs aren't on the same page like they used to be. We've seen that in El Paso. We've seen that in Phoenix. We've seen that in San Antonio. Sacramento. That's something that I think that the league has to, because it's to me, it's obviously something bigger than a club to club, because there's too many clubs that all of a sudden are having an issue with it. And I don't know if it's just, these are clubs that have been around for years that have had success, and then all of a sudden this year was a little bit tougher than what they've anticipated. But you're starting to see a few little bit of the bumps in the fan supporters group relationship to the clubs itself. Some of it may be earned, some of it is self-inflicted on the clubs and the league here. So to me, that's something that I would like for the league to come together with, a few of the leaders, from the Curse, Crocketeers, FTC, the Banditos in Phoenix, Tower Bridge, I think is what, Sacramento, and others, just to kind of come up with saying, okay, hey, how can we as a league try to make the relationships between supporters, fans, and the clubs work better overall and work together, as opposed to a league mandate or a club mandate saying, hey, SG's got to do X, Y, and Z. That'd be something that I would like to see more on a league level, for that here. And I think that would improve the league, for everybody.
Mm-hmm. That is spot on, Harry. Good insight. You're good at this. For me, I mean, just thinking about United, I don't have any profound thing for the league to say, but for United, I hate to say this, but I feel like for some reason United is where strikers come to fizzle out. Or I don't know what it is.
It goes back to New Mexico United teasing that they were going to break the internet with
Brian Brown.
With Brown.
Yeah.
That put the curse right there on it.
Yeah. Brian Brown, Romario Williams,
Nico,
Schneider, Borgelin, Nico, Brett.
Didn't you guys have JJ Williams who's tearing it up with?
No.
Oh no. Oh, you had that's right,
Romario. Yeah.
I liked Romario. He had some moments in MLS. I thought he had an opportunity, but I don't think he was ever fit enough for how we wanted to play and for the atmosphere here.
I will give one New Mexico one. I said I wasn't going to do it, but with the theme on this here, get the stadium done. Let's get that wrapped up, closed. Mm-hmm. Peter's, in my opinion, one of the best owners in the league. Personally that I've ever interacted with. But just to me, like I said here, I don't want. We got to get this done as far as and I know it's being tied up in legal and stuff, but for New Mexico United, from a club level, to me, they raised the bar in performance and expectations this year. Mm-hmm. To me, they've got to finish that by getting that home, not only for that, so that way, from everything I understand from speaking with you guys and others, it will open up the doors to so much more to a women's team as well.
Yep.
Which will just help the brand grow for New Mexico United.
And it's not just the women's team. Like Somos Unidas Foundation has talked about doing so much for the community with I'm forgetting what it's called, like an integrated team, adapted team. I can't remember what it's called. Running all of their free clinics for the youth. If we had our own stadium, allowing high school teams to have their championship games at a home stadium, it would just be such a positive injection into our community. They've already done so much, but this would take it even further leaps and bounds.
Yep, that it would. Yeah, and I think we mentioned it last week. Ron Patel did tell a group of a tour group that the stadium was somewhere between 9 and 48 months away. So obviously partly in jest, but there are, from what we understand, approximately 24 individuals that are holding up the stadium. So yeah, hopefully that all gets resolved here soon. So yeah, I mean, it's, for me, looking at the club, it's tough because we did so much this year. We grew in a lot of different ways. We tried a lot of different things. We brought in some new faces. First full year under Coach Quill.
And we've got Quill and we've got Will, right? Those are like where there's a Quill and where there's a Will, there's a way. So
there you go. Yeah, no, obviously Will Seymour, the only player that we know of that is guaranteed to be under contract for next year. Coach Quill under contract through 2026. You know, I want to. I want to, and we already focus on the youth movement on the academy. I want to see a bit of a focus on bringing up more individuals. You know, yes, we brought up Christian. Yes, we brought up Turo, both which went out on season-ending injuries this year. I think there's some talent in the youth, and I think giving them the opportunity to play either Open Cup or league play would be really good for this club. We went from one of the oldest to one of the youngest clubs, but I think there's still some room there. You know, develop some guys a little bit more at a high level, and I think that there's some room there, and I think that there are opportunities to continue to lean on former and experienced players to help grow that situation. So Justin, I've heard some things on the stadium making it sound like sooner than later on. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I said, you know, Ron is partly in jest. 9 months, more than likely not going to happen. My guess is 2026. So just a matter of getting all the legal stuff taken care of.
I'd be thrilled with 2026.
Yeah, it's a possibility. It's going to depend on just, you know, how long it takes to get all the legal stuff taken care of, and then, you know, getting, you know, the actual, you know, architect, and then the stadium build and all that kind of stuff. So
because they're doing a pop-up stadium, right? Or
no, it's
probably not the correct.
Nope.
No, it's a legit stadium.
Oh, they are. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because I thought on the balloon grounds that they were trying to keep it a little bit versatile to where they could expand down the road. Maybe I was wrong.
No, it's set to be somewhere in the 10 to 12,000 range is what the idea is. But yeah, no, it's going to be a legit stadium. Like, it's because where it's being built, like, you're not going to have a lot of room to expand it because you're butting up against one of the higher berms there. So yeah. Alrighty. Well, does anybody have any closing thoughts other than Jacob, who's already ready for silly season?
Who's the team that goes west? Birmingham, Tampa, Miami?
That's a great question.
Yeah, especially if Memphis isn't playing next year.
That'll be a great off-season discussion.
Or does it get broken up into more
into 3
conferences? Yeah.
I don't think they do that, but
no.
Maybe OKC actually shows back up.
Not next year.
Next year.
I think 2026 they will.
Okay.
Dude, everybody, I think, and this is what kind of catches me a little bit off guard with Memphis, is between now and 2026, if you're going to be getting into the soccer game, that is the time to do it because you're going to get the bump from the World Cup to be able to do that. Now, obviously, if the stadium's issue is a stadium issue, but, you know, like I said here, that's, to me, it wouldn't shock me to see that. Because don't forget, there's Omaha that's been rumored to possibly be coming. You know, you know, the silly season is just starting. There's always surprises, last minute additions, last minute subtractions. So
I'm not convinced that NOLA's ever coming.
Oh no,
I'm not convinced.
I knew that had issues. And I think I've said this before. Here's the problem with USL announcing, "Hey, we've sold the rights." Just because you sold the rights doesn't mean they have an owner. They don't have an owner in New Orleans yet.
Yeah,
they've never had an owner. Yeah, they sold the rights to people that, okay, hey, we can do it, but New Orleans would be fun.
And Lexington is a done deal.
Yeah,
moving up. Is that right?
Yeah, they're coming up next year. They're my favorite on where Alan Marcino lands. Because he was on the staff of Darren Powell, who coached Lexington this year and then went up to a technical director role.
Are you guys familiar with that lower league team that has Bigfoot as its crest.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I can't put a name.
I want them to come up just because of their crest.
But I do think the next couple of years, because MLS is talking about switching to the FIFA calendar. USL's flirted with it. I think for USL, the Super League is going to be a big test of how that does. So it wouldn't shock me that a year from now we're talking about, hey, we're switching calendars, and the whole Jägermeister Cup will be kind of what we do in the summer, and then you'll have the seasons go through, and that's what I kind of see. But that's my tinfoil theories.
Yep. Yeah, definitely interesting to see what happens with all that. I mean, obviously, USL I think they're fairly committed to doing that for the Super League going.
Well, they are doing it.
Yeah. I just don't know, what the plan is for USL Championship. Do we see Pro Rel? Do we see the change in schedule? Who knows? But there's room to grow.
Here's why you can't have Pro Rel. Well, I guess I shouldn't say you can't. RGV could have had the opportunity to go to League One, right? You figure Memphis could have went to League One. The only teams that have done that is North Carolina and Richmond. And North Carolina's came back up, and they made the playoffs, but I think you mentioned early drawing 2,000, 3,000 fans. Just it's to me that's the thing that you have to kind of look out for is you almost have unofficial Pro Rel where hey, we're going to start out League One. And this is why I say with Santa Barbara, I wish they would start next year, work out some of the kinks, and then see where you need to improve both game day experience, office back front office experience, because obviously the roster you can build a USL Championship roster in League One, but it'll be interesting.
Yep, that I will. Yeah, looking over at the USL Championship wiki, you've got Brooklyn and Lexington set to join in 2025. I'm still not convinced Brooklyn is coming. You've got Jacksonville, Iowa, Milwaukee, Arkansas, New Orleans, and Buffalo in 2026.
Jacksonville isn't coming in 2026. They still haven't even broke ground on a stadium.
Yeah, that's what USL Wiki's got on it, so I'm not expecting that. I'm not convinced USL Pro Iowa is ever coming. Because they've been announced for a few years now. I'm not convinced. So I don't know. Interesting time to be a soccer fan, no matter what league you're a fan of. And obviously, we will keep an eye on the playoffs for the next couple of weeks until we have a championship, and then we'll jump into silly season. So for everyone that joined us this evening, Jacob, Justin, Jane, I think that all J's tonight. Yeah, that's
why I had to hop on.
Appreciate all you guys hanging out in the chat and being with us as we are here each and every week. Big thank yous to Christina and Harry for joining me this week. No idea what happened. Marlena was in the chat earlier because Earl lost power and then his phone died. So, and then Jacob doing dad duty this evening. So, thank you guys both so much.
Team Jacob in the house.
There you go. Team Jacob always here. So yeah, thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you guys as always. Great conversation. Poor way to end the season for New Mexico United. So for all of us here at Somos Moss, Harry, Christina, Jacob, Earl, everybody, thank you guys so much. And until next time, Somos Unidos.